Hello and welcome to this episode of the Small Axe Radical Short Film Awards podcast. For this episode, we are greeted with the presence of Felipe Esparza, whose film To Cut a Tree on a Green Moon will be screening at our festival. So Felipe, I was hoping we'd start this interview by asking if you could tell us a bit about how To Cut a Tree on a Green Moon came to be made.
Yeah, well, the title, I would like to start with the title because it's related with something in agriculture they called, at least in the jungle in Peru, like it's not the time, depending of the moon, to cut a tree, depending of the movement of the moon, and they have a kind of rules for taking care of the trees, and was a way to create this short film. Like it's part of a project I did in 2015. It's a series of short films called Espacio Sagrado, and it's Sacred Space, and it's a group of films like to try to imagine something like it's inside and at the same time outside of the religious or magic way of thinking in Peru, and through something like it's cinematographic, but at the same time is in a way extra linguistic. It's more related with images and sound than literature or theater, no, like the way we understand cinema. So it's more, maybe can be more related with visual arts. So this new work, comparing the last one, like they are all part of one exploration about the different manifestations of mysticism in my country. This one have a little bit of relationship with the idea of the progress and the exploitation and the gold in general in the Amazon. So that link between the way of looking for a paradise or for a redeem of this syncretism of religions and mysticism, connected with this idea of gold, or the idea of the progress through this. No? It's not a declaration. It's not a pamphleto. Of extraction of the gold, or I'm not going to tell you in that film how it works. I think that grows in different levels. I think when you see the film, yeah.
So my next question, in that sense, may might open a can of worms in terms of what you're suggesting. But I saw that in your application to our festival that you mentioned a diary entry from Christopher Columbus. So given the colonial project that Columbus arguably sort of kick-started within the Americas, I was wondering, how does your film address that, if it even attempts to? I know we've touched on it with like a non-binary type of thinking, that there's no good or bad word. Yeah, but if there's anything else maybe that you try to speak to in terms of colonialism.
I think when I show to one curator, one film curator in Peru, he wrote that he wrote this the text I put in the application, because I think he traduced in a way in words something like probably I was not able to do it in a more clear way. So he used this diary of Cristobal Colon, and it's interesting how he created these links between the exploration, who is doing this character through the main character through the jungle. He's just walking, no, like never ending in one point. And the searching of the gold as a link of searching something, and I think the idea of of Colón as a I don't know, as someone to conquer another place. Of course, there's always economical reasons in this. So the idea of the gold is really present even until now, and have many problems of exploitation and they are destroying something. Not. I mean, the destruction of the Amazon in a way. No? So we kind of build these bridges in this short film. Yeah.
So in fact, so for our listeners, me and Felipe just had a small chat before we came on to the interview, and I suggested to him, maybe rather embarrassingly now, that his film reminded me of Embrace of the Serpent, which is a 2015 film by I believe a Colombian director named Chiro Guerra. So I was going to make a comparison between these two, but you stopped me in my tracks. So, and you were suggesting that your film is obviously very dreamlike in tone and structure. It doesn't sort of follow a character, or it maybe does if we consider the camera as a character. And it's non-narrative, of course, as well. So I was wondering, sort of, maybe your thoughts on a comparison between Embrace of the Serpent, but also what caused you to make this dreamlike film.
Yeah. No, I didn't want to stop you, but I mean, I had with this previous work is Espacio Sagrado, some people who link the film probably for the topic and the appearance of the black and white, and I understand the relationship, but at the same time, the thing I'm trying to create as a way to take a space or to claiming the right of a different way of representation. And I think it's possible even in the way we see or in many cultures in Latin America, they see the time. No? The time is not linear. It's not related with the idea of getting something, or with the idea of progress. Everything is more connected in the daily life, and we are part of something like with going like more circular. So even that structure can be transformed in cinema in a different way too. Like it's not going to tell you something in a linear way from A to B, and there is a character like archetype of the bad guy who comes, and then we save the. I think it's interesting just to create more possibilities of this way of representation. Yeah, I think as I say, I think the rationality or the linear way of seeing the cinema probably is more it's more present, you know, and maybe you can find some this small a few of a way of representing more like in video art, for example. No, I think cinema is really the idea of cinema. No, the main idea of cinema is really a structure. So yeah, and it's a territory like I kind of wanted to reclaim in a way, because it's open free forms of audiovisual production. You know? Probably. Who can impact the person who see it in different forms, or as I say to a friend, like long time ago when I started to do films, it's kind of turn off the machine of the brain who we are set up to understand always in the same. I mean, that doesn't mean like you can, for me, like you can change completely the way of thinking. It's just kind of give the freedom of a different way of transforming or representing I don't know, my culture or different cultures. Yeah.
So for our last question, I just want to maybe move slightly more to some of the political or more pressing political images in your film, and that's the I think they appear twice of the mass of I believe they Peruvian workers, and they're all sort of in a collective sort of unison. seemingly, I would assume, some type of protest or striking. So first of all, who are these people? But then also, following on from this, what are they protesting about? And as your sort of film is sort of blended in with like sort of land rights, is it sort of another take on an expression of indigenous land rights in Peru?
Yeah, I think they're not. It's not a protest about land. It's more. It's more a pilgrimage. It's more like a festivity, like a Catholic festivity.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So actually, yeah, when you say about the land, is interesting because even that I can relate it with a way to claim some kind of a heaven or some kind of paradise more than the. I think that is the terrain of the film. And then you have the other characters like as Jorge. Jorge is the one who is walking and the one who is in the boat first sleeping, and kind of that introduce a little bit the dreaming
Yes,
of
right.
the imagining, and he lives in near to Iquitos. It's a big city in the Amazonia in Peru, and we had a relationship for years, and he lives in the place who is a protected area, like a natural protected area. So yeah, he with all this relationship we have for years, he accepted to be in the film and to play this game with me, and yeah, I mean, maybe the idea of reclaim something, I think we talk about it already, but I think it's more as a director to reclaim something, to reclaim the right of different representation. I think for me that is more important, even more respectful for the others. No, it's not
Yes,
so
right.
extractive. It's not. I'm going with the camera and I'm kind of go as a documentarist. I'm not in French say mise en scène. Like I'm not putting like I'm not creating a theater there. No, it's more like I'm there watching from the sides, and sometimes guiding a little bit, but it's a beautiful dialogue, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that is I don't know if I answered you.
Yes. So just to end, I was wondering if there are any more projects or activist groups or films you'll be working on or working with in the near future.
Yeah, now I'm in the doing the mixage of sound of a film I shoot in that place in Arequipa. It's about a rock, a white volcanic rock, like in that period they built all the center of the city and all the churches and the kind of the symbols. And they call the white city now. It's until now they call the white city, and there is still many people working in this old way to take the rock from the top, big parts, and then make the squares to make houses, and then I create a parallel between this and a modern preservation with the photogrammetry about the inside of the churches. So it's kind of a parallel of new kind of material, different kind of material, but at the same time crossing the same symbolic structure or so that is the project, like I have to finish soon.
Oh yes, that's true. So we'll wrap up there. Thank you very much for your time, Felipe. It's been wonderful to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and all the best for your future endeavors and everything.
No, nice to meet you. Thank you for inviting me.